This painting is likely one of the strangest images in the entire history of Western art. It was created by Francisco Goya sometime between 1819 and 1823, and for nearly 2 centuries, no one has been able to agree on what it actually means. At first glance, and I haven't said this often on my channel, it barely looks like a painting at all. A vast, empty ochre space dominates the canvas, and at the very bottom, almost swallowed by it, we see the head of a dog. That is all. There is no story, no human figures, no objects, and even no landscape. Just emptiness and a single animal looking upward. And yet this image has fascinated artists, philosophers, and anybody else who stood in front of it for generations. Some have called it the first modern painting. Others have called it the most terrifying image Goya ever created. So what exactly are we looking at? Why did Goya paint this dog? And why does it feel so suffocating? To understand this painting, we first need to understand where it came from. In 1819, at the age of 72, Francisco Goya purchased a country house on the outskirts of Madrid. The house was known as the Quinta del Sordo, which translates to the House of the Deaf Man. This name did not come from Goya himself, but from a previous owner who had been deaf. However, the coincidence is striking because by this point in his life, Goya had been completely deaf for nearly 3 decades. A mysterious illness in 1793 had left him unable to hear, and many believe this experience had a profound impact on his art. Inside this house, on the walls of 2 main rooms, Goya painted a series of 14 paintings directly onto the plaster. He never titled them, never exhibited them, and never explained them to anyone. These works, which we now call Goya's black paintings, were created entirely for himself. They were never meant to be seen by the public, and when we take a closer look at them, it's easy to understand why. The subjects range from mythological scenes to witches' sabbaths, from old men eating soup to Saturn devouring his own son. They are dark, grotesque, and completely unlike anything Goya had painted before in his official career as a court painter. When we look at these works, we would almost forget that this man painted the royal family of Spain before. But there's more. His deafness is probably not the only thing that radically changed his style. The Peninsular War ravaged Spain between 1808 and 1814, and Goya had a front row seat when it broke out. It's believed that his mental health took a serious hit from the death and destruction he witnessed firsthand. Experiencing a war is troublesome, but experiencing it as a deaf person probably amplifies the terror. This, in combination with the dreadful fear of becoming mad, resulted in a serious decline in his mental health. And then he started decorating his newly acquired mansion with paintings that reflected his mental state. The dog is the smallest and simplest of these 14 works, and in my opinion, also the most mysterious. The composition is radically empty. Roughly 4/5 of the canvas is filled with nothing but gradients of ochre and brown. There is a vague diagonal line that might suggest a hill or a slope, but it is so undefined that we cannot be certain. At the bottom of this vast emptiness, partially submerged or perhaps buried, is the head of a dog. The animal looks upward, with peculiar eyes that look hollow. We do not know if it is sinking into something, climbing out of something, or it's simply trapped. We also do not know what it is looking at, because there is nothing above it, only empty space. This is exactly what makes the painting so deeply uncomfortable. There's an underlying feeling that something is not right. Goya gives us almost nothing, and it's exactly that nothing that feels heavy and oppressive. The dog seems small and fragile against the enormity of the void above it. Over the years, art historians have proposed many interpretations of this work. As you surely expected, the mental health of the painter is generally seen as the main inspiration for this peculiar work of art. Some see it as a meditation on loneliness and isolation, a reflection of Goya's own deafness and his withdrawal from society. The dog, unable to communicate, trapped in a world it cannot fully understand, becomes a stand-in for the artist himself. But there are other explanations. Some interpret the painting in more existential terms. One theory suggests that the vast empty space represents the indifference of the universe. The dog, on the other hand, represents all of us, small creatures looking upward for meaning. This theory became especially popular in the 20th century, when artists and philosophers saw in Goya a precursor to modern existentialism. Finally, and I find this one rather unlikely, there is a more literal interpretation. Some scholars believe the painting may be unfinished, or that significant portions of the original image have been lost. When the black paintings were transferred from the walls of the Quinta del Sordo in 1873, the process was difficult and imperfect. By all means, scraping off a painting that covers a flaky wall and trying to add it to a canvas wasn't an easy endeavor, and certainly not in the 19th century. Photographs taken before the transfer suggest that there may have been more detail in the background, possibly a rocky landscape or even other figures. If this is true, then the extreme emptiness we see today might not have been Goya's original intention. As I already mentioned, I think this might be a simplification though. After all, it is believed that the faint black area on the right side is a leftover from the painting that covered the wall before Goya painted the dog. So in my opinion, this powerful image is exactly what Goya meant to paint, and this raises an important question. Why does this particular animal affect us so strongly? Dogs have appeared in paintings for centuries, usually as symbols of loyalty, companionship, or in hunting scenes. But Goya's dog is none of these things. It is alone, vulnerable, it seems to be struggling against something we cannot see. The expression on its face, if we can call it an expression, doesn't really provide us with an answer either. Is it hopeful, frightened, resigned? It allows us to project onto it whatever the painting makes us feel at any given moment. And perhaps this might be the clue that explains this mystifying work of art. The dog becomes a mirror, and the emptiness becomes whatever void we most fear in our own lives. What makes this painting feel so modern is that it refuses to explain itself. Traditional paintings tell stories. They show us heroes and villains, saints and sinners, moments of triumph or tragedy. But Goya's dog shows us almost nothing and asks us to find meaning in that absence. This was revolutionary. Goya was not illustrating a myth, a biblical scene, or a historical event. He was painting a feeling, something internal rather than external. Many art historians consider this one of the first truly modern paintings for precisely this reason. Goya could not have known any of this, of course. He was simply painting on the walls of his private house, creating images that meant something to him. But in doing so, he opened a door that future artists would walk through for the next 200 years. Goya died in 1828, 5 years after completing the black paintings. The Quinta del Sordo passed through several owners, and the paintings remained on the walls, deteriorating slowly. In 1873, a new owner commissioned the transfer of the paintings to canvas so they could be preserved. I find this notion fascinating. It's amazing that we can still admire Goya's black paintings today. The dog hangs in the Prado Museum in Madrid, alongside the other black paintings. It is displayed in a room dedicated entirely to these works. It allows you to reflect on this man's inner emotions. We look at the dog looking upward, and we cannot help but wonder what it sees, or what it hopes to see. What do you see in this painting? Does the dog seem hopeful to you, or hopeless? And what do you think it is looking at? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more similar videos.